Welcome to the Bleed Big Blue podcast, dedicated coverage of the New York Football Giants by your hosts, Marco, Trifecta, T. Merritt, and JBW.
What's going on, everyone? You are listening to the Bleed Big Blue podcast. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, at least where I am. And let's get this started. Let me know in the chat room if this is up and running. Let me get to the phones. 1 second. Is that you, Tim?
Yeah, I'm in.
On time, every time.
Yep, and you know what? Pretty damn nice down here in the South as well.
Is it? What's going on with the pool action? I heard Tim's going for a swim.
Oh, you already knew, man. I was at the pool yesterday. You know, I had to celebrate Cinco de Mayo and Kentucky Derby, and you know, I was partying it up at the pool. And I think I'm gonna have a little Sunday fun day today. You know, and that's what we do in the South. Well,
that is what.
Well, you guys have.
So the pool.
Yeah.
When the pool is up and running, it's yours. I'm gonna have to come visit.
That's the way we do it, man. Yeah, pool's up and running.
Let's see. What's good? Big Blue. Gotta love that intro. I'm always at the gym when this comes on Sunday. All right, he's getting his workout on. Are we loud and clear? Is everyone up and running? I think so.
I think so. Is Mr. James going to be calling in?
Mr. James is on the line as we speak.
Nice.
Notice what Tim didn't say about yesterday. Notice what Tim did not do yesterday.
What did he not do?
What did Tim not do? Tim had a nice day at a pool. He enjoyed Cinco de Mayo. He enjoyed the Kentucky Derby. What may have thrown a little monkey wrench into Tim's day?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's go through baseball. Was it baseball?
I don't think it was baseball.
Oh,
not
you know
baseball. Football really hasn't started
yet. Is it concerning that Tim does not know what went wrong for him yesterday, considering he's, quote-unquote, such a fan?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. About. And you know what? I'm just ignoring it because it's called youth, and we're learning.
It's called youth? Oh, because the Celtics, that's not youth. They're an old team. They're not learning anything. I'm sorry.
You know what?
Trust the progress, Tim. Trust the progress.
I will admit that you guys have a better coach than we do, and the fact that you know, Ben Simmons gets put in there when T.J. McConnell and those guys were tearing it up. What was that, game 2? They kind of pissed me off. Yeah.
And to go back to Simmons, and you know, I mean, hey, maybe if he was an inch taller, he'd be able to make a dunk. But we're here to talk football, not basketball, right, Tim?
You need to be an inch taller to make a dunk?
Oh, Ben Simmons missed a wide-open dunk yesterday in the fourth quarter, in crunch time.
He got the rebound, though.
Tim, where was Markelle Fultz during this? I haven't seen him. Is he around? Did he die? Is he anywhere?
But you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. The more this goes on, Philadelphia absolutely got ripped off in that trade. Because we could have absolutely used Tatum as well.
Well, I woke up this morning and in my usual Sunday morning ritual, I made a nice cup of coffee, and then I did yoga and meditated in front of my fat head of Danny Ainge, who I wish all of my teams, their general managers, were Danny Ainge. So that we're feeling good over here.
All right, gents, I'm going to have to step away at the moment. You are listening to the Bleed Green podcast. Oh, sorry. No, it's not Bleed Green, right?
Wow. Are you pumping up the Jets podcast, which I do want to start praying. I do want to start praying.
According to this guy.
What?
Yeah, I gotta...
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
All right, I'm going to step away, boys. You going to take this?
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
As long as nobody calls in.
I see the lines on.
As far as people calling in, just let you know, me and James are not necessarily tech savvy, and we call it.
Yeah, there's no tech savvy with the Sunday morning show. Anyone think Darnold will be good? Yeah, I do. Cruising 26. I think Darnold is going to be good. I think that I've been getting little jabs throughout the course of the last week. Anytime Darnold does something wrong, somebody's inboxing me or sending me an article or something like that. But nobody mentions the fact that he's throwing the ball really well. Yeah, I think Darnold's going to be a good quarterback. I think the debate about Darnold and Barkley is going to go on. I think the debate's going to start 5 years from now. I don't think it's going to be much of a debate early. I think Barkley will get the early results. But I think if you get to 28, 29 years old and Darnold's just starting to come into his own, I think it could be, we could look back on it, possibly regret the pick. But, hey, for now, short term it's good for the Giants. But, take nothing away from Darnold. He's going to be a quality quarterback in this league. There's no reason to think that he won't be. And enough with the fumbles. We know he had a problem in college. But you know what? He's working with a center who was cut already. So, that stuff is going to come. Not a lot of QBs look very good in their first minicamp. The fact that he was making the reads and throwing the ball well is what you want to see. That other stuff will come.
Yeah, all people got to relax as far as every little mistake gets picked apart in practice. That's the reason for practice. Let the kid play. Let him learn. There's the reason me and James wanted him on the team. He was 20. He's just a blank page. He's a blank page that can learn. You know what? If it comes out that he ends up not being that great, whatever. Then you know what? Good for Gettleman. He knew better.
EDP's dad. I think Darnold's about to be a bust. Well, let me tell you something, bro. You better hope so. Because if he's not a bust, it's a lot of egg on a lot of faces for a long time. And let me see. Giants need a running back. Their running game was awful the last few years. Jets have 100%. Needed a QB since name it. That doesn't make passing up on that guy the right thing to do.
Well,
here's the thing, the running back. The Giants needing a running back. Did you read how good Nick Chubb looked in minicamp? Not to say minicamp is anything. He's going to look as good as Saquon did, but you guys, you could find running backs, and that's the argument. Really, the only argument against Barkley. You really can't debate the guy's talent. The argument is, if you have a good team with a good offensive line, you can run the football. And, I just saw a stat, and let's on Twitter here, Tim, because it is telling. Because you know how everybody said about Fournette? They're like, oh, well, they took Fournette at this pick, and they took, not Emmett, what's his name? The Ewok. Who looks like the Ewok? What's his name? Ezekiel Elliott, right? So Ezekiel gets taken fourth, was it, right? But he gets to run behind that offensive line. So he gets put right into a great situation. Fournette got put into a situation with a really solid team. The 3 games that Fournette missed this year, the Jaguars won in blowouts, and they rushed for over 130 yards in all 3 of those games. So, a lot of his yards, if you look at he was playing with a lead because they had a good team. So we're going to see about this whole Darnold Barkley thing. We're going to see how close the Giants were. We're going to see if here it is. Let me see. GMs are thinking this team turned it around because won 10 games because of Fournette. No, Leonard Fournette got more carries to produce better numbers because they were winning in these games because they had an easy schedule. And then somebody tweeted the actual facts, the actual stats from those games, and the games that Fournette missed. They blew these teams away. So we're going to see just how good the Giants team is with the addition of said player Barkley.
Well, that's the thing I think is really going to benefit. It's not just going to be Barkley, though. That's the nice part. Is you already know the only weapon we had literally 2 years ago was Odell. Now that Evan Ingram's in there, Sterling Shepard's, come into his own, and you have Barkley, that's going to make our offense a really hard matchup. As long as Eli can take advantage of it.
It better.
And
our defense, I hear a lot of people talking about this offense. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this defense.
The defense is a wild card, and I honestly don't think it's a finished product right now. I really think they're going to bring in at least one more person. I don't know who, but I really think they're high. Well, first of all, we know they're high on Lorenzo Carter. I think he's starting. He's definitely going to be starting the other outside linebacker spot. So I think the linebackers are set. As far as what the what the formation is, as far as who's going to be playing DN and nose tackle. Well, Snack's going to be playing nose. I really think B.J. Hill's going to end up playing defensive end, or at least in spots, because honestly, the defensive end and nose tackle in the 3-4 scheme, all they are there is to take up blockers and free up, get people off the linebackers. And as long as the linebacker, and the problem is we don't really have the depth at linebacker right now, so we got to hope for health.
Well, that's the thing with me is it's not like the starters are great, but I mean we've seen it before. If you're going to compete into deep into January, you better have a deep roster. And my question is, are they deep enough? You're going to have injuries on the offensive line. You're going to have injuries where you're not expecting them. Are you deep enough as a football team to compete deep into January? I think that's the question that you look at the pieces now on offense and you're intrigued. I mean, you'd be silly not to say you're intrigued by the wide receivers and tight end, the combination now with the running backs of Barkley. Those are intriguing pieces. To step out on a limb and to say they're going to be this dynamic offense, hold on. Can we see it? You don't just get to step on the field and have this stuff happen. There's going to be things that you're going to have to overcome throughout the course of an NFL season. And we don't know right now if on offense and defense as a whole team, if this team is good enough. And if you're sitting there saying that, Barkley puts us in the Super Bowl, then, I don't know what team you were watching last year. Because, OBJ went down. But, when you look at that defense, when you look at, the depth on the offensive line, and, they signed Solder and they brought in some guys. But, even Will Hernandez, intriguing prospect, you don't know that this is going to work out. You don't just get to put on a blue jersey and all of a sudden you're an all-pro player. Every team had a draft. Every team is high on those players. Every team signed undrafted free agents. Every team is high on those players. Some teams are going to be right. Some teams are going to be wrong. We need to see it on the field on Sundays, and it's going to be intriguing to see how interesting to see how this whole thing works out. But you're fooling yourself if you're just penciling this team into the NFC Championship game.
There's no way you can pencil anybody in. Everybody's honestly, you obviously have to look at the rivals and see what they did. I like what Dallas did as far as drafting. The fact that they got Connor Williams in the second round, who it just solidifies the line even more, kind of pissed me off. But
and you see, here's what I mean, Tim.
Yeah.
Here's what I mean, right? Here's exactly what I mean. Exactly what I mean. So Steve M. on YouTube writes, McIntosh is going to be really good. He was picked in the fifth round.
He's got potential. I mean, and honestly,
all of them have potential, Tim. Every single kid was drafted, but there's reasons why kids go in the fifth round. And to just think that you could pencil this kid in on the next level and say that he's going to be really good, it doesn't work like that. Remember William Joseph? He was going to be really good.
Yeah.
I
remember a lot of the guys that should have been really good. And, the next thing is we can hope. And honestly, I think some of the undrafted free agents might play better than some of the guys we drafted. I mean, that's just playing the numbers. But you don't know what's the guy's hearts, because honestly, let's think about this. Just because Saquon's there, none of these running backs are like, oh crap, I have a roster spot. Let's say somebody that we used to be high on at the beginning of last season actually got a fire lit under his ass and starts playing well again. A guy I like to call the percolator.
Yeah, I think he's cut.
Oh, I don't think he's making the team, especially if we're going by last year. But who knows? Who knows we don't know what some of these guys are doing in the off season. We don't know if Wayne Gellman, who's played well. The only thing I ever have a problem with him is he likes to put the ball on the ground. The only problem I have with him.
See, I don't think so. Joe C, DN NYG fan, 1981. That's a long fucking name, Joe. He says if Gettleman thought that Darnold was rated higher than Barkley, then Darnold would have been chosen. See, I think that's lip service. Like, I don't think so. Like, I think that the fact that
I bring this up. It's a great thing that he brought it up, because I saw there's been some rumors that will come out about where people were ranked. They said Giants had a higher rank on Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen than they had on Sam Darnold.
I don't believe anything. Why would they admit that they had Darnold higher on their board and letting him walk? See, I honestly think the decision was made for one reason. I think it was made to go opposite. You can argue about position player all day, but I think the decision was made for a quarterback, or not to go quarterback, specifically because of Eli Manning. I don't think they wanted any part of a first-round pick being here over the next 2 years, or after what happened last year over Geno Smith and Davis Webb. I think that they wanted no part of that controversy. I don't think they wanted any part of coming out of the box slow with that schedule and potentially not being able to get off to a slow start. People are going to want the kid, especially the first-round pick. I don't think they wanted any part of it. I think that they made this – I think that Giants are in a very dangerous place because they better be right. They're in a very dangerous place because it looks like over the course of the last 3 years, if you step away and look at it as an objective fan, it looks like Eli Manning's making the decisions. It does not look like there's an owner or a GM that is – I mean, if you look at it long term, you cannot argue to me that Barkley is the better pick. Like, if you're looking at it short term, you can argue Barkley is the better pick. But you can't argue long term that Barkley is the better pick. The argument long term is you either trade back or you take the quarterback.
But the thing is, what do you consider long term?
10 years.
10 years? That's the thing. You can't look at any player. And just like we just talked about, we don't know who's going to be
except a quarterback. A quarterback is the only player. But, Tim, a quarterback is the only player that you can look at in the window of 10 years. Everybody else, I agree with you, is short term. That's why the quarterback position is so valuable.
Okay, yeah, I get you with that. But
if you're taking a quarterback, you're looking at the next 10 years, right? When we took Eli in 2004, we knew that, all right, this is our guy for the next 10 to 12 years. This is the guy. You hope he works out that long. In the best case scenario, here it is. Eli Manning is in his 15th season. But you can't tell me that the pick was not short term based on a window. You're paying Saquon Barkley the fourth highest salary amongst running backs in the league. You can't tell me that the pick wasn't a short-term pick.
And I get that, and trust me, I've told you before, I totally agree with that. I would not have taken Saquon at 2. One thing I heard was they literally had the same grade of Saquon and Bradley Chubb. They had the same grade. But they said it came down to the decision they thought Saquon had more when it came down to everything, Saquon had more talent.
Well, I think he better have, because it's the running back. They better be right, because it's the running. We said it before, right? We said it, months before the draft, that if you're going to pick, if you're not trading back and you're not taking a quarterback and you're not taking Chubb, then you better be right. Like, you better be right about Eli still having something left. You better be right about the player, Barkley, and you better be right about the window, the team being good enough to win in that short-term span of 2 years.
Yeah, it's literally going to be 2 years. And unless this season's a complete shit show, then it's going to be 2 years. 2 year window. I can't see Eli getting an extension beyond the end of this contract.
Oh, you see, I could. You see, I think I do. I can see a 1 to 2 year extension come next year, so he doesn't go in and have to deal with it like a coach, like a sitting duck coach. Like, if you take a step back, Tim, you cannot, like, objectively, not just as we're all diehard Giant fans, right? But it's our job. Like, we go ahead and we look at the league in an objective way, right? So you tell me that if you're not an Eagle fan, a Cowboy fan, a Redskin fan, that you're not thrilled with what the Giants did.
Well,
because if it was another team, if it was one of them that was in the same exact situation, I would be so happy that they took a running back at 2.
I'm with you. And honestly, though, I'm going to tell you right now, Dak is not the future for Cowboys. And I'm starting to think they're starting to realize that. Dak is on a make-or-break season where he's got to show that he's actually the quarterback's future. And that, honestly, Dallas completely lucked out into that situation anyway.
And it's going to be – let me tell you something. Looking around the division, right, you look at Dak, and you're right. It's all on his shoulders this year, because you talk about a team that's going to face 8, 9 guys in the box, because the wide receivers right now are huge question marks. They lose Witten. Who's going to step up as a tight end? So while you have –
by the way, thank you for mentioning that. I want to give credit to Jason Witten, because he always tore us up. Yeah, you were a Cowboy, but I appreciated your game. Jason Witten, good luck in retirement. Thank you for fucking finally leaving. So we don't have to worry about you tearing up our linebackers for the millionth time.
Yeah, go ahead. The tip of the cap to that guy, right? I mean, he was a good pro for a long, long time, and he did it the right way. And he's a it's sort of like a Brian Dawkins type thing, where you hate them but you got to like tip your cap. A Darryl Green type thing, when you look at the Redskins, you hate them but you got to tip your cap. Same thing with Jason Witten there.
How
good mention, Tim.
James, top 5 guys that were on the Rivals that you respected. That you just like, I wish they were Giants.
So top 5: Cowboys, Eagles.
Redskins that you watched growing up, that you were like, you know what, I wish he was a Giant, but I respect his game to the full extent.
Guys that killed us, right? So the one guy I think of, I think Dexter Manley.
Okay.
Charles Haley. Reggie White.
I like where you're going. You're going with a lot of defensive guys. The Taurus.
Yeah, man, right? Guys that just made life miserable. And notice, like, all guys that made life miserable for Phil Sips. Like, fuck them.
Well, that Philly defense was disgusting.
Well, not really Haley. Haley maybe really a little later in Sims' career. But let me say,
we
Cunningham
with the 49ers, but I understand.
Randall Cunningham, huge thorn in the side. And, a lot of people don't remember this. I'll give the other one to Donovan McNabb, because there was a stretch during that time period with the Eagles where the Giants could not beat them. And, Donovan was tough. Donovan was tough. So, I think the Giants had a little stretch against him, and then, he retorted.
Yeah.
But during that stretch, also, honorable mention, oh, man. Deshaun Jackson, right?
Well, just brought that up. Deshaun Jackson always killed us.
Deshaun Jackson always killed us.
I'm going to tell you right
Michael
now.
Irvin. And
happy as hell when Shady got traded to Buffalo. When John McCoy got traded to Buffalo, I was like, good, thank you. Get him out of the division.
Phil Simms last season, and this may be enemy number one, to be honest with you, but Phil Simms last season, Giants, it was Dan Reeves' first year. Giants really weren't expected to do too much that year, for those who remember. And Simms had one of those years, he actually garnered, I think it was 5 MVP votes that season, his last year, and led the Giants to the playoffs. They got their doors blown off in Simms and Taylor's last game in San Francisco. But that season, last game of the season, Giants Stadium, winner would have won the division. Emmitt Smith, with, I believe, a separated shoulder, put on one of the greatest performances.
Was that the Monday night game? Was that the Monday night game?
No, that wasn't the Monday night game, man. This was a Sunday afternoon. I believe the Monday night game might have been the following year. I think it was the year I think the Monday night game was the year they retired Simms' number to open the season in Giant Stadium, and the Giants got their doors blown off. But the game I'm referring to was the last game at Giant Stadium that season, and the Giants, I think, were down 13-0 at halftime, and then Simms led them back. I think they tied the game at 13, and it went to overtime. But Emmitt Smith in that game was absurd good, and really took the next step in his career that day. And with a separated shoulder, man, he blew up the Giants. If you could look, if anybody looks it up,
there were so many games
game,
like that. It's hard
so,
to narrow down.
Emmitt Smith, considering my that last year was magical. Everyone knew that Simms and Taylor were coming to an end. You all thought that it was, you thought Simms may be back, but you knew his contract was coming close, and you knew LT was thinking about hanging him up. So that season, with a chance to get a home playoff game, that sucked. But so Emmitt Smith would be number one.
Emmitt Smith's your number one, huh? Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, you know what? The one guy that I love, Brian Dawkins. I love that you brought him up. Brian Dawkins is one of those guys that I'm like, damn, I wish he was a Giant. It just the way he played. The one guy, hated him because he always used to rip up one of my favorite. I used to love Felipe Sparks and the way he played, and he always was a great corner. But Michael Irvin used to tear him up because Michael Irvin used to push off nonstop and just use his size to his advantage. And there was a lot more contact back then. So Michael Irvin, I definitely had to give it to him. He used to tear us up. I'm trying to think, as far as guys I liked watching. I got. You brought up another one earlier, was Darryl Green. Darryl Green was awesome.
Yeah.
For Washington.
Felipe Sparks was a fucking bum. Stop bringing up bad memories. No, he wasn't a bum. I'll tell you, Felipe.
He was a good corner.
He was a good cornerback. He was. Felipe Sparks was a really good cornerback. I'll tell you, Felipe's worst moment as a Giant, though, was the surprise season where they went to the playoffs. Was that Fossil's first year? Where they went to the playoffs with Danny Cannell as the quarterback on the back of a fun defense. Jesse Armstead, Jason Sehorn coming into his own, before the ACL injury. Yeah, that year the Giants were in a playoff game against the hated Randall Cunningham, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, the Vikings, and the Giants had the lead. All they had to do was recover an onside kick, and I believe it was Felipe Sparks. The ball bounced right off of his chest, and Vikings recovered. The rest is unfortunately history. But
you know what? And another underrated guy that you just brought up that Giants fans, especially younger ones, don't probably remember and give it enough respect to. Jesse Armstead was so awesome.
yes, he was.
He's one of our greatest linebackers, and he's not in like the first part of the conversation just because he played on some pretty bad teams.
And people don't remember that Super Bowl where we lost. I do think that the Ravens probably had the better team that year, but it would have been interesting if people. Do you remember, Tim, in that year 2000 Super Bowl? Giants were down 7-0, I believe. The Ravens had the ball. They ran a screen play, and Armstead steps in front, takes it to the house, and a bullshit holding penalty was called on Keith Hammer.
Yep.
And the game the Giants, the opportunity to get some momentum never really, came through after that. But, Armstead was phenomenal. He was great. He was really great. Remember the fist pump, fired up, throw that fist pump?
Oh, yeah. He was pure excitement. He was pure energy. He reminds me a lot of the way Landon Collins plays, honestly. Now, guys, granted it's a different position, but still, the way they play with excitement.
So the comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
Some comments on YouTube, right?
One guy got, before you get there, Brian Bennett brings up John Runyon.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass. He was a pain in the ass for Strahan.
Yeah. Him and Strahan, but they gave just as much as they got, I think, with each other, with Strahan and Runyon. Yeah. It's just their careers, mirrored each other, and they had great battles.
So we have a couple of people. There's a couple of people on YouTube, and there's a little bit of an argument going on right now. Not really an argument, but a debate.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers would have made this team at least 8-8. Well, an argument as to Eli or not Eli, and I think that guys, we're gonna have to wait on this one, because with Eli right now, there are no excuses. So you're going back to the 11-5 season. That offense in the last 7 games of the year, including the playoff game, failed to score 20 points.
Horrible.
Absolutely horrible, right? So you go back to that, and then the next year with 3-13, and people want to, make the excuse of Eli, a lot of guys being hurt, etc. Guys, the reality of the situation is Eli has missed some throws and has regressed the last couple of years. He's 37, for Christ's sakes. It's natural to think that there's going to be some type of regression. Well, there's no excuses this year for Eli Manning. I think that, when you look at the weapons and the rebuilt offensive line, like what Gettleman has done, what the fan base has wanted Gettleman to do. He addressed the left tackle. He brought in a couple offensive linemen via free agency. He drafted an offensive lineman. He got Eli a running back. So he has done what everyone, except Captain Negative, he has done what everyone has wanted him to do pretty much. So now it falls at the feet of Eli Manning. You're making $22 million. This roster has been built specifically for you. It's time to come through. It's time to now, you're the guy, you're the 2-time Super Bowl champion. It's time for you now to put this team on your shoulders and show them how to win and overcome for a defense that is going to be switching and going to have some holes and going to have some leaks. It's going to be up to you to control the ball, to make good decisions, to convert third downs, to make a throw, to be accurate. It's going to be on you.
If
it fails, and if it fails, then the franchise is going to have a lot of questions to answer. And that's not being a hater. That's just being realistic looking at it. The whole thing has been built to cater your 2-time Super Bowl MVP. And you better be right about him having some gas in the tank. Because if he doesn't, and you fall on your face, and he's not able to utilize the weapons like you wanted to, then all of a sudden you start looking bad. And then where do you go for a quarterback? Then you better be right. Because now you got all these weapons that are going to be pissed that nobody can get him the ball. So, a lot of this falls on Eli now. Right? Tim, I'm not being a dick.
I'm cool. You know what? And I'm fine with that. You know what? Let the pressure put it on Eli. Because that's what it comes down to. It's like, hey, Eli, we believe in you. All the cards are on the table. We gave you everything you need. So let's see what you can do.
Guys, I get it about Barkley. And here are these guys, right? So, bro, Barkley had a bad O-line. Bro, go watch at Barkley's stats. Go watch Barkley's highlights, and somebody show me one where the quarterback took a snap under center. Because every one that I see is him running out of a read option.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand he catches passes and he's going to be a matchup nightmare, but this is the NFL. This is not college. So there has to be an evaluation at the NFL level. You can't just hand and say, "Oh, just plug this in. This is going to work."
Oh, you know who's coming in?
Yeah, I don't know what he could possibly say to be angry or argue with what we're saying.
No, he's not arguing. He's not mad. He's calling in. But as far as I'm with you. As far as let's get it going with Eli. But I'm going to give Eli this credit. This Eli this credit. He's also got a new coaching staff. Literally, he has no excuses. As in, Pat Shurmur puts his offense to the talent that he has. So you know what? And I believe in Shurmur right now. We'll see what happens after the whole season goes. But I believe in Shurmur right now.
That's even more of a reason why it's all on Eli, right? I mean, Shurmur is the quarterback. Yeah, I mean, he did it with Case Keenum. So if Eli doesn't, there's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of pressure on Mr. Manning to come through. There's zero excuses.
And you know what? I want to put it out there for all these people that, yes, if we had Aaron Rodgers is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But guess what? He's got one ring. And that happened, 10 years ago? So get over it, people.
Yeah, but come on, Tim. Come on. Aaron Rodgers, bro. I mean,
you know what? Eli tells Aaron Rodgers, hold my jock strap.
Team.
So,
go ahead,
Justin, I'm here. I don't have long. Just wanted to call in and say happy Sunday, gentlemen.
Happy Sunday, buddy.
And, I just want to say that in reference to the Saquon Barkley thing, I think that they took an opportunity to grab a premium talent. And I also suspect, tying into something else that you guys were saying, that, they were in a position where they didn't want to take Sam Darnold because you can't take a snap from under center. They didn't want to have
you could just throw the lights out of the ball.
Teaching him how to take a snap from center. So that moved him from the realm of possibility. And then, they were looking at the scenario where, quite honestly, Shurmur made a star out of Case Keenum. The reason Case Keenum got a contract this offseason is because of Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur should take a percentage of that contract. And so
we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't think. Maybe they thought, well, any guy that we bring in, we're going to give Eli the reins for 1 or 2 years. And if this doesn't work out, let me be very clear. If Eli can't perform with this offense the way that it's currently constructed, it's on nobody else but number 10. Nobody else. You can't blame anybody else. They've switched everybody out that they've been on this witch hunt about. The only person left is Eli. So he's going to put up or shut up. And if he doesn't, then, they'll find their quarterback somewhere else in the draft.
You better hope.
People are talking about this class of quarterbacks like they're the only class of quarterbacks that will ever be drafted. There's going to be additional quarterbacks, and some of them might be better than Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen. They might be.
You better hope.
We don't know.
You know who it's going to be? Kyle Shermer.
That's right. That's right. First father and son combination.
Yeah, you better. I mean, the bottom line is you better be right. Because if you're not right, if you're not right, and Rosen is throwing for 4,500 yards a couple of years from now, and Darnold is throwing for 4,500 yards, and the Jets are competing for the playoffs, and the Giants are looking for a quarterback, we're going to go back and talk about Darnold's fumbled snaps in his first minicamp. Because you're not going to know about Darnold. You're not going to know about Darnold and Rosen and Mayfield. You're not going to get a good sense of them until you're debating about whether we should be repaying Barkley after 4 years of running him into the ground. You're not even going to have a sense for the quarterbacks until then.
If they don't want to repay Barkley, Barkley, there will be a trade market for him. I guarantee it.
So the other teams are going to just like there's a trade market for Le'Veon.
Well,
because teams in the NFL are dying to get their hands on a 27, 28-year-old running back that's been run into the ground like a running back one and a wide receiver two, and pay that guy $12 to $15 million into his 30s.
It's happened before. Marshall Faulk, and he won a Super Bowl.
How long ago was that?
I just want to put it out there.
He won a Super Bowl.
Hashtag negative nation.
Marshall Faulk got traded. Yeah, he got traded because it's happened once. He got traded because the team didn't want to pay him. And he got traded in a perfect situation. And he got traded in a perfect situation. How many times does that happen? How many other running backs have been traded and it didn't work out? Or released and it didn't? You're naming one.
This trade down group that wanted us to trade away our premium pick, our second overall pick, for a bag of hot garbage and a dozen.
But they would have made the trade if Mayfield was on the board, and they would have traded with New England.
2 and a 5.
So if Mayfield was on the board, they would have taken.
for this trade. I was all for this trade. I just want to put it out there.
Tim, did you hear that? So they weren't going to take the Buffalo trade. They weren't going to listen to anybody else's trade. But if Mayfield was on the board, we would have been fine with trading down to New England, who had worse picks than Buffalo. Did you hear that?
Well, I did see that crap, and I'm like, how is that even possible? That we won't trade to Buffalo, but we'll trade with New England? You go down farther?
Well, that's
in New England.
I mean,
especially New England.
I heard that.
What
I
do they
heard
worth?
that, and it was. I heard
that is what you call bullshit.
Exactly.
It's not bullshit, though. Listen.
It is bullshit. That's just teams looking for excuses so you could spin it. So if anything happens, you had a reason not to go Darnold. It was Mayfield. Yeah, it is. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit after the draft.
The scenario there is simple. The Giants weren't going to trade away a premium spot at the top of the draft.
But they were
back in the draft and take multiple sets of talent.
But they were if Mayfield was there.
Let me finish.
But they were if Mayfield was there, Justin. What you're saying isn't true.
Let me finish. They weren't going to trade back and worsen their position in this draft in terms of players to pick without taking a first-round pick in at least one of the following years. Buffalo wasn't willing to offer that. New England was. So,
oh my God!
I'm going to tell you right now,
Oh my God.
If Giants
So
took
you
that
wanted to
trade
take.
back-
So you wanted to take. So the difference in the trade, right? So if Mayfield's on the board, the difference is the trade because you're talking about the Patriots. The difference in the trade is next year's what? 31st or 32nd or 30th pick in the
You don't know
draft.
where they're going to be.
It's the fucking Patriots. Where are they always?
So they're going to be in the bottom 20. That's the one thing
So
I
you're
don't agree
gambling.
with.
So Justin, so let me get it straight because I think it's hilarious. So I don't know where they're going to be. So we're going to gamble that in year 18, this is the year that the Patriots fall apart after 17 years of picking like 25th or further back.
But what
That's your deal breaker. That's your deal breaker.
Can you agree? And let me get the whole thought out. Can you agree?
If it makes sense.
That taking Buffalo's 12 and 22, that it's better. It's a better trade offer to take 2 first-round picks from the Patriots plus 2 second-round picks this year, plus a first-round pick next year, and maybe a third or fourth-round pick. Because that's what I'm hearing was on the table from my sources. And I'm telling you something right now, I don't care. To me, the difference between 12 and 22 this year and 23 and 31 this year, when I'm getting 3 additional picks plus a first-round pick, I'll take the difference between 12 and 22 and 23 and 31 if I'm going to do it. If that's the haul that I'm getting, that's a different trade offer than 12 and 22 and a bag of donuts. It just is. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what we're talking about. You're talking about pick 29 possibly next year. Come on. 29 next year.
Come on.
29 next year plus 2 additional picks in the second round of this draft that it was super loaded and everybody wanted those picks anyway.
Which draft? This year's draft is super loaded?
You were saying before the draft that
there was a huge drop off after pick maybe 25.
But you were saying we had so many needs, you should definitely trade back and pick up picks. So what you like to do
if it wasn't a quarterback
argument and then flip it around.
And you're wrong because I said because of the value of the positions that if you're not going to take a quarterback and if you're not going to trade back, then you should take Chubb. Because of the fact that defensive end, what you're paying them long-term is a smarter pick than to take a running back. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. And the bottom line is Saquon Barkley pick was made for one reason and one reason only, and that's Eli Manning.
Absolutely.
So saddle up and ride because if you don't win, you got egg on your face. And if you're wrong about Loletta and Webb, you're going to have a lot of pissed-off weapons with nobody to get them the ball in a couple of years. Possibly this year.
Let me ask you this question, and this is the last question I'm going to ask. We'll finish this point, and then I have to go. But what I want to ask you is, if you know that in the next 3 years you're replacing Eli, I don't think he's playing. I think he's playing the next 2 years at best. But if you know in the next 3 years that you're replacing Eli and you're bringing in a young quarterback, I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care if it's Loletta. I don't care if it's Webb. I don't care if it's a player to be named later. I don't care who it is. You can pick your guy. Don't you think that having Saquon Barkley already on the team makes that quarterback better?
Maybe. You better be right about Saquon Barkley. You better be right about Saquon Barkley.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Justin. It gives the guy a safety blanket.
Guys, do we remember guys? Do you guys remember guys like Kajana Carter?
Yes, I do.
And
I'm hoping Saquon's right, and I'm with you on that. The nice part about the Saquon pick was it showed that we're going back to put a premium on running the ball.
But hold on now. Because you say that, But we don't know that. Because Saquon Barkley, if there's one huge question about Saquon Barkley, it's not his ability in the open field. It's not his ability to catch the football. It's not his ability to create matchup problems all over the field. What the question mark about Saquon Barkley is, can he run between the tackles consistently? Can he be a 24 to 25, 26, 27? Can he be one of those guys? Is he the guy, not out of a read option? Is he a guy when you're leading the game 24-21 and there's 3.5 minutes left and they have 8 men in the box because they know you have to run the ball? Is he the guy that can get you 4 yards a clip and move the chains? If you're answering the question to that yes, then you're fucking delusional, and then anything this team does, you're going to love.
That? You don't
well,
know
I do know. I know there's a question about it. There's a huge question about that. How can you deny that there's a reason? We don't know that he's that guy. He wasn't that. He wasn't that guy in college.
There's a question about it.
Question was, are we going to run the football more? Tim's original question was, are we going to run the football more? Are we going to have more attempts? And Shermer with Minnesota, with Jerick McKinnon and their third string running back was 7th in the league in attempts running the football. So Shermer
they also had an offensive line that markedly improved from the prior year. You're putting a brand new offensive line together with pieces. You don't know what this is. Their offensive line went through the trials and tribulations 2 years ago. And then they came back this year much improved in the same system, markedly got better. And that's not this situation. You're just assuming that we're going to plug these pieces in, they're all going to fit, and that the running game is going to take off just because we're plugging new names in and putting blue jerseys on them.
I have no reason not to think that.
You have to see it. You do have a reason not to think that. You haven't seen it yet. That's like saying that you could just plug Webb in and he'll be fine. Or you could plug Loletta in and he'll be fine. You got to see it on Sunday afternoon.
You love Brett
that's like the guy on YouTube saying that McIntosh can play defensive end. You don't know that. He's a fifth-round pick. You don't know
it. I like to yell when I can't make my point, so I talk over the other person.
Dude, you know nothing about any of these players.
We replaced 4 offensive linemen.
Are they going to be good in Fitz Shermer's scheme? You know that they're going to be good in Fitz Shermer's scheme. You know that they're going to be lights out. You know it.
They think that.
They think it.
A lot more than we do to do this.
What do you think? So did Reese. How many times have you seen it? How many times have you seen teams struggle in the first year under a new system with new players? Does it always work the first year? Why are we 90%? Why are we 90% sure that this is going to work?
Bottom of the rung in terms of arguments that you have left to go.
No, I'm not, dude. It's a legitimate argument. Legitimate argument. You can't answer the question.
I'm going to argue it right now.
You can't answer the question.
Justin, I got your back on this one. First of all, Minnesota overhauled their line completely last year. I think there was one starter left over.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. Look at the offensive line. There was like one starter left over from the year before, and the Minnesota's line was way better. Look it up.
Okay.
Look it up.
Guys, come on. Give me a fucking break, dude.
But you know what? We don't know. We don't know.
No, you don't. You can't sit here blindly just because we're Giant fans, and every move they make is going to work like it's like every undrafted free agent they pick up is going to be Victor Cruz. It does. We have to see it, guys. Can they show up on Sundays? And you got all the moves you wanted, but before we start blowing people and putting them in NFC Championship games, can we see them play? And that's not an argument. That's reality.
I didn't put them in the NFC Championship game. I just put them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to suspect that they have a shot at making the playoffs this year. I honestly do. Listen,
I want to. They were 3-13. I would like them to see. I just want to see them compete at this point. They were 3-13. For you guys to sit here and blindly say, going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, with a new coach, with new coaches, with a new system, learning a new system, plugging new players in, that they are just going to turn this thing on and be able to make the playoffs. They should be able to compete for a playoff spot. But, guys, let me ask you something. If they finish 8-8 and miss the playoffs, is it a failed season?
No, it's not.
No, we're going in the right direction.
It's not.
We're going in the right direction. But
You got a 37-year-old quarterback making $22 million.
Okay. I ain't my money. I ain't worried about it.
Oh, my God.
Listen to me. If we go 8-8, if we go 8-8 and Eli completes 56% of his passes for 24 touchdowns and 16 interceptions and 6 fumbles and a few, disastrous moments at key times, Eli's not on the team next year. And then you're bringing in the rookie quarterback with a bunch of talent that's already played together and knows the system.
That's classic. That's good. So then you're going to draft a rookie quarterback.
No, you don't need to draft. You already have.
No, you're going to give it to Webb and Maletta, right? They're just going to step in and play. Those guys are ready.
Listen,
they don't
blame. This is what I'm saying to you. You can't blame Gettleman for being stuck with Eli. Eli's contract situation with Eli.
No, I could. No, hold on, wait. Stop making excuses. Stop making he's the general fucking manager. Who else are you going to blame?
You can't get rid of his $22 million contract.
You can't?
Unless you're going to ask him to take a pay cut.
Are you going to cut him straight out?
The only quarterback that's going to take a pay cut is Tom Brady because his wife is an underwear model. And she walks around.
Yeah, that's the only reason. That's the only reason Brady does it. That's it.
Are you telling me that if Tom Brady was the main breadwinner in that family, that he would leave money on the table?
Yes.
If you think that, you're delusional.
All the money that people think he's leaving.
I don't think Giselle's career has. Do you know how much fucking money Tom Brady makes by himself? You think that it matters that he's going to get the money backlogged to him? You think that Tom Brady gives a fuck about money more than he gives a fuck about rings? Come on, dude. Stop.
I'm saying he doesn't have to worry about it.
He wouldn't have to worry about it if he was married to fucking Mary Jane. He wouldn't have to worry about money.
But he wouldn't leave it on the table.
Oh, my God, dude.
For somebody who loves Belichick, why do you defend Brady?
I'm not defending Brady. It's not defending Tom Brady to sit here and say that Tom Brady would not take a pay cut if he was not married to Gisele Bündchen. I mean, come on, guys.
I guarantee he wouldn't.
I'll guarantee
All
that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because the $1 or $2 million that she's making a year is really making a difference when it comes to Tom Brady and his endorsements and all that shit.
She makes more money.
What's she make? 10? Does she make 10? Is that she makes $10 million? I'm sure that's the difference in Brady's decision. I'm sure that's nothing to do with them being able to field a better team.
Look it up.
Oh my God.
It's not even close.
Oh my God.
She makes like $200 a year. It's stupid money.
Oh my God, guys! Jesus Christ!
But I'm not worried about it anyway. You know what?
I'll look it up. I'll bring that number to you guys next week. But for right now,
please do.
I've done my job. I filed up. We'll see you guys next week.
It doesn't matter.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
Later.
Oh my God! Jesus fucking Christ!
But here's the deal.
Oh, the Kool-Aid.
Is it not Eli? Absolutely. But just like you're saying, we don't know what the players are bringing. Some of us like to look on the positive side and be like, you know what? If they
Dude, it's one thing to be hopeful. It's another thing to be just ridiculous. Like, I hope. I'm going to be cheering for it to be right, but it's not a foregone conclusion.
Oh, nobody.
I'm gonna come camp. Like, I'm gonna be cheering for these things to go well, like we all should. But I'm not sitting here because I'm a Giant fan, just plugging things in and saying, oh, this is definitely going to happen. Did we not learn anything last year? Did we not learn anything last year?
And I agree with you as far as we got to see if Saquon's willing to run up the middle and all that stuff. But as far as size-wise and all that stuff, he has no excuse not to be able to run up the middle. He's another one that has no excuse. You got number 2 pick. Guess what? You better be running up the middle. You're 230s, 240s. Guess what? Run up the damn middle and get the yards I need. That should be it. Period.
Well, you hope he's that guy. You hope he now. I mean, if you want to look at realistic stats and not just plug people in like it's Madden and think that they're going to be great based on their combine fucking things. All right. When Saquon Barkley was hit in the backfield, out of 58 running backs that were eligible for the draft, Saquon Barkley in yards per carry was 57th out of 58.
Okay. I mean,
so is he the guy? Is he the guy that is going to get hit and fall forward? I don't know, Tim. I hope he is. I want him to be that guy, but I don't know that he is, and I don't know that he is based off watching him play and the statistics.
Are we going like a power formation? Are we playing with a fullback this year?
That's another question. I mean, you would assume, looking at Minnesota, that there's going to be some formation. Now, are they going to use maybe the second fullback in that spot? Like, I don't know who. I don't know if they'll have a straight fullback or if it'll be more of an H-back type thing. But you would assume in some situations there's going to be a lead back, right? How many of those long runs did you see? How many of those long runs did you see with Saquon Barkley where he was following the lead back?
True. But the way I look at it, just another blocker. But if
Tim, I agree with you, but still something different, not something that we have seen, an adjustment period, a difficult schedule to come out of the box with. I mean, you have to take all these things into consideration when you look at the New York Giants and what this season may be like. You cannot just say that, okay, we got new guys, we got a new system, we got a new running back, lights out 30 points a game. Like, we want that to happen. We don't know that's going to happen. Let's not be silly. Let's not be Cowboys fans.
But the thing is, in theory, we should be averaging over 20. Averaging over it. And
it's not negative energy. It's real talk. It's common sense talk.
I love that you read comments that start yelling.
Because it's the truth, right? I mean, it's the truth. No one's assuming that we want the best possible outcome. No one's assuming that. It's just looking at it from an objective, from looking at it as a football fan as opposed to just a blind Giant fan. We want Will Hernandez to become an all-pro guard. It doesn't always work out that way. We want Saquon Barkley to live up to the hype and be the AP Marshall Faulk / type. We want that to happen. It doesn't always work out that way. So we can
I definitely think he's closer to the Marshall Faulk type than Marshall Faulk / Reggie Bush than somebody that's going to be ground and pound. We're just going to have to find ways to get Saquon the ball in his hands. Now,
I agree.
Is that going to be running up the middle 20 times? But I think he's capable of that. We'll see. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I think he's capable of that.
See, and here, right now on YouTube, there's a debate going if we're a playoff team or not, and some people think. But here's the thing, right? So no one, and here's my concern, man, and this is why people call it negative. To me, I've been around watching football, doing this stuff for a long time. Like, it's just the difference between being objective and being blind and drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, if you're telling me that the goal right now was to be a wild card team, because no one on YouTube has said this team is winning the division. If you're telling me that with all the moves they've made now, this team is going to compete for a wild card spot and not be a lock to be in the playoffs, then I have questions about taking a running back at 2. Because what you're telling me is that the roster has huge question marks on it. So if you want to have an honest and open debate about it, you can do that.
Well, I'm with you. I'm honestly, that's where I'm at. Is they're a playoff team? Are they a wild card team? Possibly win the division if some stuff falls the way it can, but Philly's definitely going to be tough. The thing being is there is question marks on the team. The main reason being is it is new schemes on both sides of the ball. So that could be a huge positive. That could be a huge negative because the fact is no one has seen us on film with these packages. So they don't know, especially at the beginning of the season, we should take a lot of people by surprise. But the other thing is, all these people, on the other hand, is all these people have to learn all these new schemes on our side of the ball. You know, so we're going to see where we can go. And I really think, you know, going into, if as long as we're going in the right direction, you know, going into the next year, we should be even, in theory, should be even better.
Guys, so this guy, so people are throwing teams out there who they think may be better than the Giants, right? So this guy goes, Cowboys no, Panthers no, Packers no, 49ers no. Dude, you're blind.
As far as Packers, I agree with you because Packers are garbage. They don't have anybody on that team right now.
I think they got Aaron Rodgers, and they just had as good as a draft as the Giants did. You can make the argument, and they have Aaron Rodgers.
They doubled up on cornerbacks. They're going to be starting 2 rookie corners.
The 49ers beat us last year.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to call it a hot take if you want. I'm going to tell you right now, Jimmy G is going to blow next year.
You're crazy.
I'll take that bet.
All right.
I'll take that bet.
All right. We got to start marking down all these. Right before the season, we're going to mark down all the hot takes. But I'm going to tell you right now, Jimmy G is going to have film study on him, which he did not really have much prior, you know, to this little run of San Francisco he had. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a different story, especially with that Rams defense that he's going to have to go against, with Arizona defense he's going to have to go against. It's going to be a different story.
I think you're insane.
Yep. Hey, you know what?
I think you're absolutely insane. I think there'll be a wild card because the Rams will be in that division, but I think the 49ers are going to the playoffs next year. I don't see how you could watch. I don't see how you could watch that kid and think anything but, fuck, he's in our conference. Like that's what I'm. When I watch Jimmy G play, you watch the sound bites of him and how that team reacts to him and how he like when you watch him in that offense with Kyle Shanahan and what they do and how accurate he is and what his anticipation is and how he just seems to get better. The other thing with him is in the fourth quarter, the guy's unreal. I mean, I don't see it like this. When I look at Jimmy G, I go, fuck, he's in the NFC. Like, to me, I think that's a guy for the next decade that's going to be a thorn in any team that's trying to make a run in the NFC. Like, you're going to have to go through, you know, Goff and Wentz and, you know, there's young quarterbacks in the NFC right now, you know, that are going to be there. Never mind the Stafford and the Rodgers and those guys. So you better be right because this is a quarterback league. And you could throw Nick Foles at me all you want. The bottom line is Nick Foles played pretty fucking good because he took advantage of the fact that it's a quarterback league.
Well, here's the deal. This is just curiosity. I thought about this question earlier, but you and Justin were arguing. Out of the 5 quarterbacks, now we know their situations. How many will succeed? And who do you think's going to do the best? Who do you think's going to do the worst?
Out of what?
The 5 quarterbacks that get drafted. The 5 we've been debated. Oh. Now we actually know their situations. I don't like Allen.
right? So I didn't like him, so I'll throw him out. I think he's going to be a bust. But out of the four, man, the Jets.
Marco, listen.
The thing about Darnold that concerns me isn't Darnold, it's the Jets. Right? So, like, I think Darnold has a ton of talent. I think Darnold has an absolute ton of talent. But what's going to happen with that team? If they struggle this year, they're going to change the coach. Who's going to be the new coach? You got to figure that they would bring someone in specifically for Darnold. Does he play right away? I would hope not. I would hope that they would go with the veteran for him and let him grow. He's still so young. But does the clamoring from the fan base, if they're losing and not playing well, to just play the kid? So that'll be interesting. But I think Darnold can be a very good quarterback for a very long time. I think Mayfield, that's a really interesting situation because of, even if Tyrod plays well, you got to think that he won't last the entire season, right? I mean, you're not talking about anything catastrophic. You never know if somebody's going to miss the entire year. But to think that Tyrod won't miss a game, 2, 3, or 4 would be foolish. So you would think that there's going to be an opportunity for Mayfield to play. I don't know if that'll be right away. But the thing about that team, when you look at them, they have weapons, man. And they got a really good offensive line. Josh Gordon, say what you want about him. He seems like he's focused and has turned the corner a little bit. You expect him. He's a number one receiver. They have Landry, who's phenomenal. They have Coleman. The running backs now with Hyde and Chubb and Duke Johnson, they got a little bit of a three-headed monster back there. So there's a lot of things. I think it's really intriguing what Cleveland did from an offensive standpoint. So I think Mayfield has maybe the best weapons out of anybody.
I
Rosen,
agree
I
with
think,
that.
will be. Yeah, I think Rosen will be fine just because I think Rosen is the most prepared to play. He's in a really tough division. I think they'll be losing a lot, so I think he'll have an opportunity to really throw the ball a lot. So maybe maybe he has the best numbers. But I think Rosen's going to be around for 8 to 12 years. I don't think he's really going to go anywhere. I think he'll be a solid quarterback. And then the wild card is Lamar Jackson. You would think that Flacco is going to get every opportunity to keep the job, considering his contract, considering how green Lamar Jackson is. But if Lamar Jackson starts, making plays in preseason and showing his God-given ability to, make plays and throw the ball, and he's really not a practice guy, although, the reports from, the early practices with Jackson is that he looks really good. But he's more of an in-game guy that when, the bullets are flying, he's making a guy miss and making a throw. So, if he gets in and gets an opportunity to play, I think he has an opportunity to really do some Deshaun Watson type things in his rookie season. I don't know the long-term status of a guy like Lamar Jackson because there are the injury concerns about how he plays and, his body frame. But just based off his God-given ability, would you be shocked if he came in? And I'm not saying played as good as Deshaun Jackson. I mean, who would have seen that coming? Even if you were high on, I'm sorry, not Deshaun Jackson, but Deshaun Watson, who would have seen that coming? But would you be surprised if Lamar Jackson stepped in and made those type of plays, maybe didn't put up those type of numbers, but was just as competitive and made plays to, at least keep Baltimore wanting to see more? I think he could be really good too.
And that's where I am with Lamar Jackson too. Is I can see him getting in with like 4 games to go in the season. Baltimore's out of it. Flacco's pretty much be ending his career.
If Flacco struggles, you are going to hear the fan base. I mean, there's 2 guys right now behind Flacco that are really intriguing. Can you catch fire? Can you catch lightning in a bottle on the second time around with RG3? I don't know. I've seen crazier shit happen. So, I mean, there's the fan base there. The pressure right now is on Joe Flacco to really get off to a good start because I don't know if he plays 12 games, Tim, if they get off to a slow start and that offense isn't producing. And there's 2 options behind him that if your offense is stale, those are two firecrackers because of what they can do with their legs. They can make guys around them so much better.
And the thing is that they might be the only real difference makers on their team, because who the hell is Joe Flacco passing to right now? Who's the number one?
Exactly. So if the offense comes out and it's stale and they can't run the ball because Flacco can't throw the ball because the receivers can't get open and they're struggling to convert third downs and they're going 3 and out and they're punting and that crowd is booing, I mean, and the defense is playing well, as they should, and this offense isn't scoring points, then you're going to hear a cry for either RG3 if he's the backup or Lamar Jackson if he's the backup, and then it becomes what those guys do with those opportunities. But you're right. If that offense is stale, you're going to want to see somebody with some legs who can create something with those legs and make something happen, give the offense a spark.
Yep, and I'll give you a little scenario in Cleveland. So I know the way Tyrod plays, and honestly, Tyrod, good for brought Buffalo to the playoffs for the first time in like 20 years this last year. And he's got a lot more talent around him than he had in Buffalo. I think Tyrod could actually get Cleveland to start winning to the point where it's like Baker Mayfield might be chilling a little bit longer than he thinks is going to happen. Especially with, they're just going to be grounding and pounding it. It's going to be a conservative offense. With Carlos Hyde, Nick Chubb, and Tyrod Taylor's just a conservative quarterback anyway. And since Hugh Jackson traded for him and he really didn't need to, then you know what? That's what he's going to try to do. He might dump it off to the receivers here and there, but honestly, I think this is going to be a running game. Run the ball, have that defense. Cleveland's defense is stocked full of first-round picks and just high caliber talent. They're just going to be playing that kind of game.
And let me tell you, I got to say this because EDP's dad on YouTube, right? So all these guys that wanted a QB, because I'm not alone, and the comments on YouTube will reflect that. But all these guys that wanted a QB are negative ass fans. Like, no. We get the mark as negative ass fans because you guys fucking swallow blue Kool-Aid like it's the last drink on earth. And it's called looking at the roster objectively and thinking that this team may need to be built in more of a 1-year window is not being negative. It's called knowing the game of football. And all you guys that just blow the front office and swallow anything that they have to give you make us look bad, to be honest with you. Because you look like Eagle fans and you look like Cowboy fans and you look like Redskins fans that have no clue what they're talking about. And that's why if you're sitting here saying to yourself that the other fan bases are not laughing at the fact that you're paying a 37-year-old $22 million and you took a running back who is now the 4th highest paid running back in the league with the 2nd pick of the draft, if you're going to sit here and tell me it wasn't those other teams, if one of those other teams did that, you wouldn't be laughing them. You're lying. I would be laughing. I would have been praying that one of those other teams.
Are you not entertained?
And that's the bottom line. That's the best drop we got. That's the best drop we got. That has to follow the cap. Every time you go Captain Negative, are we not entertained behind that?
Captain Negative.
You know what? I want the Warriors.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Thank you, Marco.
Is this not why you are here?
This is why you are here.
I do like that. And I do want the drop from what was Jerry Maguire about the Quan when Saquon starts turning it up.
We got to get the Quan drop. The Quan drop is necessary now.
Yep. It's all about the Quan. As far as everything, there's one comment out here.
Like Marcelo, well, we have way more depth now. You don't know that. Just because these guys get drafted to the Giants doesn't automatically mean they are plug-and-plays. There are reasons why guys are 4th and 5th round picks. Some of them work out. Most of them don't. So, like, just because they get drafted in a Giants uniform, there's been other players that we've been high on that were drafted like that. Some of them have worked out. Some of them have not. We have to see it.
Yeah. No, that's what it is. I understand. First of all, Captain Negative does not get proven wrong unless he sees it. He will stick to his guns regardless. I try to stay
Tim, but let me just say that I hope Tim, I've said it. I hope I'm wrong. I want this team to win.
I know you are. I know you're a Giants fan. I'm not debating that at all. I know you're a huge Giants fan. Now, here's my deal. And obviously, me and James, we've been on the same page for months going into the draft. It was take a quarterback or trade back. That was always my motto. I would have took more picks. I would have took the Buffalo trade, but we did what we did, and that's where I can see where they're going, and I'm fine with if this is what's going to be the move to where it turns us back into a ground and pound team, which I've missed Giants having a running game for I don't even know the last how many years it's been since we actually had a solid running game. And that's if that's what it's got to be, that's what it's got to be. If Saquon works, fantastic. If he doesn't, at least we're,
Well, if Saquon doesn't work, you blew it.
Then we blew it. It wouldn't be the first draft. That's okay. It is what it is.
Yeah, I get it, but and that's why I'm saying you better be right, and we won't know if they were right until this season is over. So to sit here and just say because of the draft this team is going to do X, Y, Z, what did I say at the end of last year? I will never fall into the trap again of just saying, hey, this is a Super Bowl team and not being objective. Because last year we sat here and I went on the show in Australia and we went on the shows on the podcast and we said this team is going to the Super Bowl. This team is primed for a Super Bowl run. They made they got all the pieces they needed this offseason to make the run, and we fell right into it, and they went 3-13. So now coming off of 3-13, they don't add the pieces they did last year via free agency. They have a strong draft, and we just want to say, okay, well, this team is turning it around. One of those draft picks isn't playing because it's a quarterback, and you don't know it. I'm high on Carter. I like Carter a lot. Do I think Carter is going to step in day one at the NFL level and be able to play in a 3-4 defense? At the NFL level, I don't know that. I'm hopeful that he can develop into that. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, that kid's going to the Pro Bowl, rookie defensive player of the year. He has to learn a scheme. He has to adapt to an NFL game. Same with Hill. Same with R.J. McIntosh. And then they have to have the heart and the desire to want to get better and overcome the bumps and the bruises and the man's game that it is to play at an NFL level. We don't know that any of these kids can do that. Can I see them play on Sunday afternoon before I fall in love and just say that this team is going to be phenomenal? I mean, is that allowed?
I understand. You've been hurt once. You're not going to get hurt again.
You've been hurt multiple times.
But this time they really hurt you. I understand.
And don't give me that we went 3-13 because of McAdoo. No, you didn't go 3-13 because of McAdoo. You went 3-13 because you misjudged how good this roster was, and that's my concern now. And that's what all of the Giant fans who are not really against Barkley as a player, but against taking him at 2. That is our concern, is that we are misjudging the roster just like we did last year. That we thought, let me tell you something, you are not good enough to play in the Super Bowl if one of your linebackers get hurt and you're replacing him with Munson.
Wow, you stake it on Munson. You know what?
Same with the offensive line, Tim. Same with the offensive line. It's hard to win going deep in the season when your backups are undrafted free agents. Now, is that a knock on those kids, on Bizawadi and Wheeler? No, but it's unfair to think that they can come in and play at an NFL all-pro level from being drafted where they were and being acquired how they were acquired. It doesn't just make them all pros because they put the blue jersey on, guys.
Yeah, and obviously we drafted horrible on Bizawadi. He blows. I'm going to just put that out there. Chad Wheeler was a great undrafted free agent pickup. I really think he could do well.
Do people realize ADP's dad, this is perhaps, and I'm sorry, Marco, I'm going to say this because I know that you get on me for being mean sometime at the fans, but ADP's dad, I love that you listen and you're an awesome dude, but that may be the stupidest comment that I've ever seen on any. So do the people realize we were tanking last year? Then why the fuck didn't we see Webb? Because the general manager and everybody told us that we were playing to win the games last year, that the object is to win the game. So how the fuck were they tanking? Come on, guys.
No, first of all, football doesn't tank. Because the fact is, these guys don't have guaranteed contracts. If you aren't playing at the top of your game and there's film that makes you look horrible, guess what? You might not have a job the rest of your career. So football does not tank like that. Granted, I'm going to tell you right now, this past season was the first year that I was like, oh, my God, I feel like they're not giving 100% effort. It's like it felt like they gave up. And I got news for you guys.
Some of those guys that we had question marks about are still on the team.
Yeah. Flowers being one of them.
I mean, so, two of those guys are your starting cornerbacks. And, Tim, that's not me being negative. It's just being honest. No, Eli Apple and Janoris Jenkins at points last year quit on the team.
True. I mean, that's true. But if you honestly, if you back up Janoris Jenkins, I can't back up Eli Apple what he did last year. Janoris Jenkins really had maybe a bad 1 or 2 games if you go back and look at his stats. But that one game, he looked horrible. He got torn up by, I forgot who the hell he got torn up by. It might have been the San Francisco game, actually, now I think about it. But, that was the game that he quit. As far as, whatever. He didn't get along with McAdoo. He's been known to be a head case in the past. Hopefully that's over with. Eli Apple, I hope to God that you got out of your own head and actually go back to what you were doing rookie season and just play. You have the talent, just play. Don't worry about trying to make a name for yourself or anything like that. You know what makes a name for yourself? Making plays and winning games. That's what makes a damn name for yourself.
Yeah.
And as far as all the people who gave up on Darian Thompson already, and I like Andrew Adams as well.
That's me.
I know that's you. Darian Thompson, you're a year out from your injury. Let's see what you can do. They did bring in another safety, I think, but I have no problem. I really think you can do it. You just had a bad year. Well, let's see.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, that's, again, I'm not going to get ahead of myself and just were there last year. And, I hope these guys step up, and I hope that they adapt to this system and they can switch from a 4-3 to a 3-4. But we've watched enough football during the course of our lives to know that most of the time, the higher percentage of the time, it takes time for a new coaching staff and a new scheme and teams to develop under that scheme. So I don't think it's a knock to say that you hope for vast improvement, but and that's why this is a double-edged sword in such a dangerous time for the New York Giants, because market improvement from the depth on the roster and some of the kids may get you to 8-8, but this team isn't built right now, you're being told, to go 8-8. Taking a running back at 2 means that you're a Super Bowl team. So, what is it? Because you taking a running back at 2, you're telling me that you think you can compete for a Super Bowl. That's the only sense it makes. That's the disconnect with the fan base right now, is you have a lot of people that just are assuming that you take Barkley and now you're a Super Bowl team, and then there's another half of the fan base that says, hey, man, this roster may not be close, and was it smart taking a running back? That's not a knock against Barkley. It's just a difference of opinion, and you're not going to know for 5 to 10 years. In the short term, it should be Barkley. If it's not, we got a huge problem. If the first 2 years of this thing, you're questioning who won this deal and what was the smart decision to make, the Giants lost. Barkley needs to be head and shoulders above these quarterbacks right now and contribute on a winning team, or else, guys, you may have blown the pick.
I don't care what player it is. It's not even about Saquon. If you're a top 5 player, you better be contributing and doing whatever you need to do. You better be making a difference on the team. Period. I don't care what.
If you're the 4th highest player, I don't care what position you play, and that's why there's a ton of pressure on this kid right now. If you're coming in as a rookie and you're the 4th highest paid player at that position, considering what the salary cap is and how important it is for general managers to find cheap talent that the production outweighs the contract, there is a ton of pressure, realistically, not negatively. There's a ton of pressure on this kid to put up huge numbers right away because of what he's getting paid. There's no learning curve. And the fact that he's a running back, and if there's one position in the league that you see rookies come in and thrive, it's the running back position. So not only is there no excuses for Eli Manning, there's no excuses for Saquon Barkley. And that's a lot of pressure when you have a 3-13 team, a fan base that thinks you're going to the Super Bowl. That's a lot of pressure to turn things around quickly. And if it doesn't work, Tim, that's our concern with not taking the quarterback or the trade at 2.
True. I mean, as far as the trade, it is what it is. We know what we wanted. They didn't take advantage of it. Whatever. You know, if that you had that much conviction on the player, and let's put it this way, you are quoted, and not necessarily me, but you wanted to stay and to make sure you got at least 1 of the 3 blue chip players. So maybe
I wanted to trade back and get. And that was my thing. That's why everybody thinks I'm against Barkley. Like, I have no problem with drafting Barkley. Ideally, I would have liked to have traded back into the top 7 and end up with one of those top players. If Barkley was one of them, then so be it. It didn't happen. But that doesn't mean like if you're not sold on the quarterback, then to just turn off the phones to take the running back, to me is you better be right.
Yeah.
But not only about the player, because I think the player is a good player. You better be right about the team, because if you're taking a running back at 2, you think this team is a Super Bowl team.
I think almost every year you have to play it that way, though. How is it? I mean, I understand.
Dangerous game, Tim.
I understand that some teams got to go in realistic, but if you go into a season and be like, I know we're not a Super Bowl team. How shitty?
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. I think it's that. I think it's the importance of the quarterback position. Like, if you have an opportunity to get a player, especially at quarterback, you gotta take them, and if you don't take them, you better be right. Because the quarterback above any other position is, and that's what you mean. Both of the teams in the Super Bowl this year, guys, played with running backs by committee, which shows you really the value of the running back. It's the quarterback. Your quarterback will make the running back better. Your quarterback will convert third downs and keep a suspect defense off the field. Your quarterback knows how to make a read the right way and protect the right tackle that's going to have trouble with the guy that's coming off the edge, and get rid of the ball a little quicker. I mean, the quarterback is the player, guys.
What happened if they took Allen?
To me, it wasn't like I've been right or wrong about quarterbacks and players before. So I can take being right or wrong about a prospect. If they would have came out and taken Allen at 2, while I wouldn't have liked it because I don't like Allen as a prospect, I would have at least been able to say they took a quarterback that they felt is going to be the face of the franchise after Eli leaves for the next 10 to 12 years. I would have been able to swallow that because it's a quarterback. Then the question becomes, are they right or wrong about the quarterback? But that's the spot that you take the quarterback in. If you're taking a running back at 2, you think you have a Super Bowl team. You're paying that guy the 4th highest in the league. He's never taken a snap in the NFL. And you know that you're going to probably have reservations about signing that guy to a second contract because how you plan on using him the first 5 years of his career.
Yeah, but let's put it this way. Let's say, so we're pretty much paying a quarterback to sit for a year.
Yeah, but look what you're paying him.
Well, I understand, but you're paying him. But then let's put it this way: in theory, your team didn't get any better by you drafting a quarterback that's going to sit for a year.
Well, that's debatable. Like, if I know my team is not winning in a 2-year window or 3-year window because my roster is not good enough, and I set my team up for success for the next 10 to 13 years,
yeah, I mean,
that's why you take the quarterback. If you're taking a quarterback at 2, the odds are you didn't have a very good season the year before anyway. And we talk about it all the time on the podcast that the teams that have finished 3 or 13 or worse have never gone to a Super Bowl in the following season. So you know it's more of a 1-year rebuild. So if you had to bench that kid because he's ready for the first handful of games of the season or the first season, then that's what you do. But then you know the following year, if you have a high draft pick, you have your quarterback. And now you can go and get yourself players. That's how you build a roster. You have the quarterback. It's hard. It's hard finding the quarterback as the last piece, right, Tim? I mean, is that a lie? Usually you find the quarterback and then you build. It's really hard to build a team and then to just say, let's plug in the QB.
And that's the thing that I'm hoping they're saying about the guys they drafted, Kyle Lauletta and Davis Webb. As in, let's say, hey, you guys can learn for the next year or 2, and one of you guys is going to be the heir apparent. Now, this is a big if for guys that were 3rd and 4th round picks. But, it's, all I know is from what I know, as far as Davis Webb, I love the work ethic, and I really think he'd be ready to play if he had to. But, again, just like we've said before, is we don't know that because we haven't seen him play. That's why this preseason I'm so excited to see Davis Webb actually do something in the preseason and see what we have in him. Because if we do have something in him, or let's say Lauletta tears up the preseason, you know what? You can feel a lot better about that than not taking a quarterback. This preseason is going to mean a lot to me. At least, I know it doesn't mean everything, but it's going to mean a lot. That's the only thing I don't understand about them trying to bring in a 4th quarterback. Why would you take more snaps away from, any of these guys? Or is Eli just not going to take snaps? I don't know.
Well, you have to. You have to bring 4. I think you have to go to camp with 4 QBs. I really do. I don't, you got 2 rookie quarterbacks. What if there's an injury? You got to go with 4. You need arms. You got a 37-year-old quarterback as well. Maybe you want to limit his throws earlier on in the season. So bringing a 4th quarterback isn't a bad thing because you can let Tanny just throw whenever the fuck you really just need somebody to throw. You're not really worried about him. It's just an extra body there. So, I don't know, when it comes down to it, it's probably going to be, I'm curious to see right now because I think that if you take Lauletta, if you're sold on Webb, it doesn't matter where the value of Lauletta is, in my opinion. Like if you passed on a QB at 1, and then you let Lauletta, who everybody's saying had a 2nd or 3rd round grade, and you conceivably picked 2nd and 3rd without taking Lauletta, and waited to the 4th round to take him, you obviously think he's better than Davis Webb.
That's the way I take it. It's your guy. Your guys drafted him. Webb is from the other regime. So, I definitely can see Lauletta's got an edge because that's what Shurmur wants. And Sherman always a guy that's a little more mobile. Davis Webb is not that guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't, and again, I don't know what Davis Webb is, but I don't know what Lilletta is. You know, I mean, this is the NFL, guys. Like, I get that we get all hyped up on these guys, and we think that just because the Giants draft them and we read some articles, like, when the bullets start flying on an NFL level, it's completely different. And that's why I thought it was important to see Davis Webb last year, whether that was good, bad, or indifferent, because I thought it would have been good to see him, how he reacts when the bullets are flying, when things aren't going good. Because most of the time, guys, things break down. Not everything is pretty on the NFL level. There's a lot of struggles for young players. Can they overcome? Can they endure? You don't know. Even with one of the top quarterbacks, all these are questions. We think these guys can pan out. They may get hit in the mouth once and crumble.
Yeah, you don't know what kind of heart it is. And I just want to put it out there because I'm reading comments. I'm on the Facebook comments. And
what's Facebook saying? Facebook hates negative talk.
They're okay with you. And actually, Annette pumped up Negative Nation. She hashtagged it.
Hashtag Negative Nation. That's right.
So, the usual. I'm going to give you a guess. Who's the usual quarterback they always bring up as a late round pick?
Brady.
Yes. And they're saying he was a plug and play. First of all, he was not a plug and play starter.
No.
He was there for, I think, a good couple of years before he played.
It took an injury. I mean, he didn't beat out Bledsoe.
It took an internal bleeding.
Bledsoe got hurt.
Yeah. Bledsoe had, like, internal bleeding. If it wasn't for that, there's no way in hell Brady would even saw the field. So,
not at that point.
Luck happens, So, and you know what? The funny thing is, I was watching quarterbacks in the '90s. They did the top 10 quarterbacks in the '90s, and Drew Bledsoe was on that list. I forget how nice a ball he threw. Drew Bledsoe was a great quarterback.
Drew Bledsoe was a really good quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Drew Bledsoe went to a Super Bowl. He lost to Brett Favre, but he went to a Super Bowl, played well. Bill Parcells guy, yeah. Drew Bledsoe.
Yep. And he turned around that Patriots franchise. It wasn't Tom Brady turning around that franchise. Bledsoe already did it.
Well, here's the thing that I don't understand, and some of these fans, like I just don't get it, right? So like, they bring up Tom Brady as the one quarterback that was taken in the 6th round, but they forget about all the other quarterbacks that didn't amount to shit that were taken in the 6th round. Yep. So you're taking the one guy out of an argument of possibly thousands of picks in the 6th round. So the odds are they're not in your favor the later the pick. And yeah, there's always a flyer. Montana was a 3rd-round pick. How many 3rd-round picks other than Joe Montana ended up being great quarterbacks? Russell Wilson. Okay, 2. Now go through and pick out the 3 or 4 names that you want to throw at me, and then go back and find the total number of quarterbacks that were taken in said round.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Bleed Big Blue podcast, dedicated coverage of the New York Football Giants by your hosts, Marco, Trifecta, T. Merritt, and JBW.
What is going on? What is going on, everyone? It is, April Fool's Day, April the 1st. This is the Bleed Big Blue podcast. I think we are live and streaming and doing all those good things. Timmy, are you on? Is that you?
Yeah, I'm here. I know we missed it in the morning, but hey, we're here tonight. So you know what? Better late than never. Get over it.
Yeah, we got it. We are getting it in. Just slip it in, right?
That's right. Just slip it in under the time restraints.
All right, so let's wait for a bunch of people to jump in the chat. On an off night,
Yeah.
I wonder how busy we will be on an off night.
Off night, and there's really not a whole lot of stuff going on. I know if you even looked at Twitter or anything like that, there was fake news everywhere, so it was not even worth looking.
Right.
It was just annoying. It was just annoying. You had to check out everybody's source or who was actually saying it.
Very true.
Damn, that's going on. I'm like, damn. I mean,
Well,
all over Facebook, Twitter, whatever. It was getting stupid.
I think that Geno Smith did sign with the Chargers, I believe, today. I think that's official.
Yeah. Now, I might be wrong. People were saying that's going to help us with like supplemental picks. What, next year? If that's
I don't know.
Awesome.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know.
On, like,
I don't know how
the
that
whole
works.
thing.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Bleed Big Blue podcast, dedicated coverage of the New York Football Giants by your hosts, Marco, Trifecta, T. Merritt, and J.